That morning in Tokyo, the sky was painted gray. A kind of gray that felt heavy, like it was holding back a million unshed tears. The streets were wet, slick with the morning's drizzle, and the air itself felt thick, muffling the city's usual relentless heartbeat. You know that feeling? When the world seems to be holding its breath. People hurried past in a blur of umbrellas and trench coats, everyone rushing somewhere. To work, to a meeting, to a life waiting for them. But he wasn't going anywhere. He was just waiting. Not for a train, not for a person, but for something he couldn't name. In a quiet corner of the station, tucked away from the main thoroughfare, he lit a cigarette. The smoke curled up, mingling with the damp air, and he just stood there, listening to the rain tapping a soft, melancholic rhythm against the vast glass windows of the station. Sometimes, silence whispers the loudest things. And in that moment, he was listening with all his heart. When the train finally glided into the station, its arrival was announced by a gentle whoosh of air. The crowd surged forward, flowing into the open doors like a human wave. But he stayed right where he was, his eyes lost in thought, a solitary island in a sea of motion. And then, that's when he saw her. On the opposite platform, a young woman stood alone. Raindrops clung to her hair, and in her hands, she held a book, its pages already wet and starting to curl at the edges. For just a brief, impossible moment, their eyes met across the tracks. There were no words, no smiles, no gestures. But in that single glance, it was as if time itself had stopped. Even the incessant drumming of the rain seemed to fade into a distant hum. The train he was supposed to be on departed, its red tail lights disappearing into the gray mist. But he didn't move. And surprisingly, neither did she. They were at the same station, but it felt like they were in different worlds, separated by more than just a set of train tracks. Two strangers, waiting for something, or maybe, just maybe, they had been waiting for someone all along without even knowing it. In moments like these, words feel so unnecessary, don't they? They can be clumsy and inadequate. Sometimes it's the shared breath of silence, the unspoken understanding, that says everything that truly matters. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small steel thermos. He hesitated for a second, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. Then, with a subtle nod, he held it out, a silent offering across the empty space between them. She looked up, surprised, her eyes widening slightly. A small gesture from a complete stranger, somehow more meaningful, more intimate than any combination of words could ever be. She walked to the edge of her platform, and he met her halfway, leaning over the safety line to hand it to her. As she unscrewed the cap and the warm steam touched her face, her eyes softened. A gentle warmth spread across her features. Maybe it wasn't the hot drink she needed, but the simple act of human kindness, the warmth of a shared moment in a cold, indifferent city. A new train approached in the distance, its headlights cutting through the gloom, shimmering across the wet rails. But neither of them stood up to leave. They were both supposed to be on their way, carried off to different destinies. But they didn't move. It felt like time had granted them a personal pause button, creating a quiet corner in the world, just for them, where the rain was their private music, and the world belonged only to the two of them. As they sat there, the rain began to soften, its rhythm slowing to a gentle patter. She opened a small notebook, and with a pen that seemed to appear from nowhere, she started to write. He watched her, curious. but didn't ask. He just observed as words danced across the slightly damp paper, a secret story unfolding before his eyes. Then, she carefully tore the page from the notebook. She folded it once, then twice, and held it out to him. There were no words, just a look. But in that look, an entire conversation took place. Gratitude, understanding, and a gentle goodbye. When the next train arrived, it was hers. She stood up, her movement fluid and graceful. His eyes followed her every step. As she stepped inside the carriage, she turned back and offered him a small, almost imperceptible smile. The doors slid shut, and the rain, as if on cue, began to fall a little harder again. He wanted to say something, anything. Thank you. Wait, what's your name? But sometimes, the right words have a terrible habit of coming far too late. The train pulled away, gathering speed, and soon disappeared into the vast, gray expanse of the city. He was alone again. He looked down at the folded piece of paper in his hand. It was wet from the rain, but the ink hadn't run. The words were still clear. He unfolded it and read, "The rain will stop someday, but I'll remember you." Another drop of water fell onto the paper. Was it rain, or was it a tear? He couldn't be sure. He finally left the station. The city was still gray, the streets still wet, but it no longer felt empty or silent. Because now, somewhere in the labyrinth of Tokyo, in someone's memory, a small part of him would keep living. Some people, they just pass through your life for a single moment. But in that moment, they change you forever. As the sky finally stopped crying and a pale light began to break through the clouds, a strange, profound calm filled his heart. Maybe the rain would never truly end, but he was no longer afraid of getting wet. Thank you so much for sharing this moment with me. If stories like this touch your heart, please consider subscribing and joining our community. Sometimes, a stranger understands you better than yourself. We have many more journeys to take together. See you in the next one.